They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wants to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. Man, I was having a good peaceful weekend, man. Weekend's been pretty peaceful, man. I done chilled out. Feel kind of weird not working on Saturday and Sundays, man. I always feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. It was almost like I was in this mode where it was like no days off for months and months and months. And it was like, man. But I just love when a plan come together. And I just thought that this evening I will talk a little bit of boxing. You know, get some things in the way, shall I say. But I hope everybody is enjoying themselves. You know, this will be a good little conversation to have going into this week, since boxing and activity is going to start picking up. We're getting ready to start seeing some fights, and as boxing fans, we're getting ready to start getting our feel. And before I actually get into the meat and potatoes, you know, I do want to go over a couple things, man. As it relates to boxing, you know, I always say that boxing, like, it's always like I go by the 80-20 rule. There's the same rule I apply to everything in life. 80% is pretty much going well. If it's not, you need to change your situation. You need to start looking for solutions. But 80% of the things in life are pretty much going well and good. However, in life, most of the time, we harp on the 20%. And sometimes people will that's all they will harp on is the 20%. You know, they say that nobody notices the dishes until the dishes don't get done. You know what I'm saying? So you have a lot of people that's always like all the time, all day, every day, they just want to point out all of the bad things, all of the things that's not happening, all the things that's not going right, all of those things, right? And they'll come around and hate on you and what you got and what your channel doing and what your channel is all about, or where you going in life, or what's on your mind, or the positive thing that you got going on. And that's really what happens in the conversations surrounding boxing, especially as I analyze everybody. I know this is a competitive sport. Even being content creator, it's a very competitive sport, to where you might be cool, you might rub elbows with other individuals that's in the same vein, making content just like you. And then you see something that's supposed to be big, that's supposed to be legit, that's supposed to be doing their thing, that's supposed to be right and exact, that because the numbers show and all of that, sometimes, man, a lot of it is some BS, man. BS, man. There's a lot of people out here that do not practice, what they preach. They have double standards, and because they have a certain level of influence, and because people want the power of inclusion, they tend to slide under the radar, or they get away with a lot of things that people are scared to call them out on. With that being said, man, I know that gaslighting is at an all-time high. Gaslighting, the practice of psychologically manipulating someone into questioning their own sanity, memory, or powers of reasoning. And I noticed that a lot of these channels, right, what they do is they'll have you question, like, hold on, did I remember? I remember they said, yeah, I did. But see, nobody wants to call them out. Why? Because everybody wants to be all inclusive. And I always say that a lot of times on YouTube, it's like being in high school again. Like where you wanted to be inside that in crowd and you just wanted to be a part and you just want to be down like Brandy. So you go along just to get along, you know, and you let a lot of things slide. Why? Because you're scared, you're hesitant to getting your toes stepped on. And I'm gonna talk about one of the dudes that I'm talking about today, this evening, man. He's a narcissist to the 10th power. And I guess because he's been doing everything for so long and he feel like he got all this power, he could just talk to boxers any old kind of way. And I noticed that he's not that creative. He's really not. This is really something that has boiled down to him just being in a level of comfortability, right? To where he's been rehearsing these same things, and much like a lot of the people, this is just like the music business. Y'all know that, right? This is going, and I hope this is very informative, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ain't got nothing going on, you go watch your football game if that's what you want to do. But if you're here to listen to me, I got to give you something that you can put in your rucksack. I got to give you something that you can think about, something that you can walk away with. I'm tired of seeing the same old things and hearing the same old things in the sport of boxing, where these people, they come out, they'll dumb you down. These are the same people that throw rocks and then hide their hands. These are the same ones that start lies, that manipulate people who give them time, where they had a responsibility of having all these people lending their ears and giving them their money and, you know, investing time into them and hoping that it's the welfare, because you get the interviews and all that. I understand that's the good part. You get more contact with boxers. You might hear something about a new boxer. That's the beauty of it. But the downfall of it is the fact that these people have no accountability. They lie. They lead you around. I always say, man, if you lean over, right, and your head is past your knees, right, and you're in a compromising position, these are the guys that'll take their two fingers and locate them right inside of your nostrils and then lead you around by them. It's like, it's disgusting what they do, and it's just like, why y'all let them get away with it? Why don't nobody ever say anything? This is why I always say I was born in the time that I was supposed to be born in. Why? Because if I was born in any other time, I might have been the one that they tie up to the horses and tell them to go in all different directions. I might have been the one that they say, hey, man, let's make an example out of this dude. Why? Because I can't sit around and just let people just say and get away and just do without even saying nothing. I've been on jobs and lost jobs because I'm always the one, or walked away from jobs because I'm always the one that said, hold on, man, that's not good. That's not cool. Speaking up for everybody else when everybody else is scared or nervous. It's just in my character, man. I cannot see things, especially for an extended period of time. I cannot see or witness things and allow people to get away with things and not speak to them. I don't know how a lot of y'all were raised, but that's how I was raised, man. That's why I believe I was born at a great time. Couldn't have been born any earlier because I would have been made an example of. Couldn't have been born any later because I feel like I'd have been soft. Judging from what happened to the people that was born a little bit later, man, we started getting softer. We started getting soft. But just like when I was in the army, they say the army was a little bit tougher before I got there, but I remember the things that they could say and do to us when I got in there, when I went in there in 98. Then after that, they went to this smarter, friendlier army, and I was just like, oh man, these dudes got it. They soft. You know what I'm saying? They got it soft. You know, you could tell your drill sergeant, and drill sergeant, that's not right. You can't talk to me like that. And they had to back down. We couldn't do that. But this is the era we in, man. With these dudes, man, these dudes that's out here, man, they don't have no character and they soft. And somebody got to talk to them, man. Somebody got to tell them, man, stop gaslighting people. You don't have to do all of that. Whenever you sit back and you see somebody and you witness somebody that have all the resources, all the tools at their disposal, and they choose to use them for bad, it's like, why not just use them for good? Why not just use them to do the right thing? That always baffles me. Always baffles me, man. Cookie Monster. Bodywork. Sounding good as always. His twin, salute. Bodywork. I appreciate Cookie Monster and his twin. Salute, man. Let me get right into some things real quick. Legacy talk, man. It's almost like legacy talk is for losers, man. Why? Because when you start talking, like originally, right, when you start talking about people, right, especially when you highlight, like, let's say example, like when I was back on my Sabril Matias, when I was on the wave saying, oh man, why are these guys ducking Sabril Matias? And I was doing a whole lot of promoting Sabril Matias, right? You know what everybody was talking about? How he wasn't a name. And how such and such can get more money to fight such and such and all that. It's almost like when the conversation be on legacy, right? I found that a lot of people will actually switch the conversation to things that don't pertain to legacy. You know, like when Sabril Matias had called everybody out, when he had called out Rolly, he had called out T.O., he had called out Devin. And everybody made every excuse, every different fan base. Every one of them fan bases made up a reason. It wasn't until Liam Paro went and did what they needed to do, and they started saying, oh man, well, Sabril was a hype. He was, he was more hype than this. But I noticed that they do that. Because depending on who it is, when it came down to Devin, they started talking that money stuff at that point in time. When it came down to T.O., it was like they made excuses and said, oh, with T.O., he's looking to go fight. He's looking to go get, pretty much they were saying a bag too. They were saying he was looking for a bag and he was doing this. Now, I'm like, hold on, man, but don't we want a unification? Like, if you do this, ain't the money going to come along with it? He was talking to me like I didn't know what I was talking about. But I noticed that we do that, right? Because it's some people that when they're doing the right thing, like an Abdullah Mason, like Abdullah Mason, the path that he's on, right? Like the path that Brian Norman was on, right? Like when like Abdullah Mason, Brian Norman, I guess you can even say as of late, the new guy on the block, Derek Scooter Davis, the Shark. Like, it's certain people, man, that like when they started doing what they need to do and they're on the path and they're doing it either the blue collar way or they just want an opportunity, and it's like the powers that be that have control over the conversation, they will try to convince you that these guys, oh man, that's not a big enough name, or what do they have to offer? They start getting everything away, but it's like when somebody actually starts getting to the bread. And we're going to get around to the tank hate and how everybody, like, it's like every day, it's like, get over it. Especially, and now when you hear that the man's getting the bag, it's like now everything is all about legacy. It's like, okay, well, we're gonna see. We're gonna have a real dialogue, and we're actually gonna see if these people really just be pulling shit out their ass, or do they really, really care about legacy? Because like right now, it's like, man, the whole legacy talk, especially when you talk about certain boxers. Like certain boxers, oh my goodness. Like when you start talking legacy talk about certain boxers, like they move the goalposts on that and they say you're hating. I don't even want to say the dude's name. Because when you start saying, okay, well, what legacy? Like, okay, because he just unified, right? Which is great. Then we start analyzing the next move, and we start looking at the big picture, and we start saying, okay, well, why are you moving like this? Why are you doing that? Oh man, I don't know why. I don't know why this boxer, I don't know why he get hate. No, hate is when people are all day, every day. If they can't get the likes, they can't get the clicks, they can't get the views, they're just gonna say, they're gonna make up a title, and they're gonna defer over the Tank. Well, if he ain't shit and he ain't doing nothing, why do everybody keep talking about him? Because we know that they're not really based on legacy. They want to have control over the conversation. That's all it really is. That's all it's really starting to boil down to. Easily baked, salute. Crash test dummies. Yep, crash test dummies, easily baked. Crash test dummies is what they are. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it boils down to. But we don't ever really get no news on, like, think about this, y'all. We don't ever really get no news. Like, who sits down and breaks down what's going on in the division on a regular basis? Who sits down and breaks it down? Like, now I know somebody that'll sit down and they're pretty much, their content is really based on, it's like the skeleton of their content is telling you who's fighting that weekend. They're knowledgeable enough to actually tell you about the bouts and who they're fighting and all that. And they do this on a regular basis. They get no play in GA. They are these people that do that, those kind of the fundamental shows, the backbone of boxing, the bare bones of boxing type things. They get no play in GA. Like, nobody goes, nobody really frequents, nobody really supports, nobody really, like, they act like they don't really care. They get no shine. They get no credit for doing these things. But nobody breaks down divisional, what's going on divisional. There is no division, like, divisional news is lacking. Like, what's going on? Who can tell you, all right, well, what is going on good with lightweight? All they can do is say, oh man, Tank, man, he ain't never fought nobody. Like, you know, this, oh man, it ain't all about the money. All money ain't good money. But they were just selling you up the river and getting everybody to go kiss Turkey Al Sheikh's nipple ring. It made no sense. But they can't tell you what's going on in the lightweight division. They can't tell you what's going on the row, the 140 division. They can't tell you. They just couldn't tell you. They really couldn't tell you what was going on. They couldn't give you a pulse on that. They really couldn't tell you what's going on until some breaking news, something come out. Who's actually analyzing what's going on at welterweight? Who's breaking down what's going on at 154? Other than making excuses as to why one guy's moving up and is fighting somebody that nobody barely knows, other than arguing back and forth and getting upset because somebody picks Thurman over Fundora, or somebody don't think that Fundora is smart enough to be able to box with Keith Thurman. Like, just the dumbest shit. Or shitting on Earl, because he's supposed to be coming back at 54, or underestimating what Jermell Charlo did at 54 and saying that he wasn't the man, even though he has one of the best runs for Undisputed, most respectable runs for Undisputed, where he fought every champion when there was a belt out there to get, or champions to fight to take belts, or coming back to the table and doing a very, very nice run when 154 has been competitive. Where he went by and collected each belt one by one. Get no respect. And a lot of the times they won't even break down the division of 154 that much. Why? Because most of the key players at 154, you know who they affiliated with. Y'all know who they affiliated with. I told y'all it's a caste system in boxing. If y'all didn't already know. And anybody that's actually affiliated with Al Heyman or PBC, they're considered a gangbanger. They say gangbang, oh, you just gangbang. It's always the affiliate. I always thought that was ironic when you was affiliated with Al Heyman. The terminology they used was gangbang. Oh, you just a PBC gangbanger. You affiliated with Oscar. It's like, oh, he's a wonderful promoter. That's the connotation with Oscar. Wonderful promoter. Oh, he'll promote, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you Latino, you know what I'm saying? He'll promote. If it was Eddie, they say earn with Hearn. So it was always this notion that with Hearn, earn with Hearn. Like you gonna get the bag when you messing with Eddie. So that's always a positive connotation. Nothing is negative. They never said gang. You don't never hear say, oh, you just gonna gang bang for Matchroom. You don't never hear somebody say, oh, you just gonna gang bang for Golden Boy. Like, but it's gonna be gang banging when it's affiliated with Al Heyman. Yeah, Ali. When you're affiliated with Turkey, they look at him like he's the savior of boxing. Oh, he saved boxing. He's just the savior of boxing. So everything that's affiliated with Turkey, as if people act like they got saved. So anything that's affiliated with Turkey in the Turkey bag was affiliated with someone being saved. Well, in a way they are right. Why? Because a lot of people who went over there and got with Turkey, in a way they were being saved. We can argue that a certain fighter, like especially in the lightweight division, a certain fighter ran over there and he got saved. Why? Because at the time when he left Top Rank, at the time, it was already 2 belts on that side, along with the one he had, which would have been 3 belts, which is 3 out of 4. It was 1 other belt over there with PBC. But since you can earn with Hearn, it was affiliation with Eddie, and then it was the being saved by Turkey, because Turkey sprinkled a little something on it and made the price right. You know what I'm saying? Not that we got a fight that we like. Not that we got a fight that we like, but since Turkey sprinkled something on it, that made everything right. Right. Nobody breaks down any of the divisions. Nobody talks about divisions. Nobody even talks about legacy. Only reason why people are starting to talk about legacy now is because somebody else is getting ready to get an exorbitant amount of money for an exhibition fight. So now everybody got to sound like dumbasses to try to sway the narrative over and act like they all about legacy when it couldn't be further from the truth. And the tank hate that's going on right now, and then everybody that's quote unquote, because I remember I told y'all, remember. Now, and I always be saying, stop me when I'm lying, but remember what I told y'all. And they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, but I gotta. This is what it's all about. On code. So when a guy on the left, because we're hearing more and more, when the guy on the left, right? When the guy on the left chose to go and fight Ryan Garcia, who now we're knowing now, because we just heard Tim Bradley come out and say that, yeah, after Teofimo, he's already giving Shakur credit for Teofimo, and he said after Teofimo, go ahead and fight Ryan Garcia. So when the guy on the left went to go fight Ryan Garcia, it was like, well, Ryan Garcia didn't offer nothing, he didn't present nothing. All he was looked at as a big name. And then Tim Bradley, he'll double down as late as recently saying that, oh, well, Ryan never did anything for the sport. He never did. But when the guy on the left did it, it was, oh man, yeah, why not? Sure, let's get behind him. Like, man, we gotta applaud Devin. Look at Devin, man. He's always stepping up. He's always blah, blah, blah. And I don't want this to get confused because I'm not hating on Devin. I have nothing to say. I'm actually applauding Devin for the opponent that he has chosen this time. And for once, well, actually twice when he did Regis. This is the second time when Devin actually did what I wanted him to do. Fight a worthy opponent. I have nothing to say about Devin right now. I'm making this for illustration purposes. But at the time, they were saying legacy. Why? Because Devin was defending his strap against Ryan. It wasn't perceived when the guy on the right was doing it was, it's the green print. Oh man, it's the reason why we know that he ain't ready. We know Ryan ain't this. Ryan is the C-level for all this other dumb stuff, right? They do this all the time. But they do this under the guise of being on code. So now everybody, they shove a mic in their face. So everybody to come out and do a show right now because content is low and people are not as creative as you think they are. That's the easiest default to do. Hey, yeah, let's just make up anything. Let's just put Tank in it, and let's just say that he don't fight nobody, or let's just ask a dumbass question, a dumbass rhetorical question, where you know you're going to elicit a certain amount of traction, and it's all going to be based in hate. Why? Because Andre Ward himself was talking about coming back just for Jake. Nobody said nothing. Sergio Mora was talking about it. Antonio Tarver was petitioning for it, putting his name in a hat. It made no sense. But let's look at something real quick. 130. These are the 135 champs right now. And it's a reason why the WBO is not on there. Why? Because right now the WBO is up for grabs. It's getting ready to get fought for by one Abdullah Mason and one Sam Norris. But the IBF champ, Raymond Morataya, since nobody wants to do legacy, since I'm going to have to show y'all how to do this, since everybody want to talk about legacy and what's not happening, I'm actually going to pull your coattail to some things. Because what I heard, now this wasn't, this had to be almost damn near a month ago. I heard that the man on the far right, a guy that I had respect for, Raymond Morataya. Why? Because when Shakur was over there, he didn't want to fight a Raymond Morataya. Whenever they asked the Keyshawn Davis, he wasn't acting like he wanted to fight a Raymond Morataya. They were saying, oh, they behind me. Hey, go get it, basically go get it how you live. We not looking at none of them. Me and AC, when we cooked on it, we said, well, if it's a 5-fight deal, right, $3 million a pop, we got a reason that either Baranchek or Loma or Morataya, at least those was going to be 3. You was going to have a voluntary of your choosing, which had been 4. And since you couldn't fight Keyshawn, it was going to be somebody else over there, probably more than likely somebody in Top Rank or somebody that they call over there for you, like a veteran name, to have you like come over there. And it could have been a Zepeda in there after you did whatever you needed to do. It could have been, but we reasoned that a shot at the 2 champs at the time, Baranchek or the winner of Baranchek Navarrete. But we know Navarrete was on there. Why? Because Tim Bradley spilled the beans that it was a contract. Navarrete said he had a contract. Jermaine Ortiz said he had a contract. Both of these guys said they had a contract that was signed with Shakur Stevens' name on it, and they don't know what happened. And what happened was Jermaine Ortiz wound up going up, and he wound up getting the Teofimo Lopez fight. And he said, man, I couldn't turn that down. Like, why? Because we was waiting. We had a signed contract for Shakur. We didn't know what was going on. I could not fight an opportunity like Teofimo Lopez. He did pretty good in that fight. But when that happened, none of these guys was going to fight a Raymond Morataya. So I was like, okay, man, maybe they see something in these guys. You know what I'm saying? I seen how when he fought Tevin Farmer, I was like, the fight was a lot closer than what everybody made it seem. You know what I'm saying? It was close. I would say that Raymond Morataya showed a little more dog late in the fight. So I kind of gave him the edge, but it was a very close fight. So I was actually kind of rocking. I said, hey, man, Raymond Morataya, he got a nice little set of skills on him. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see him. I think that he could be, a key player. Was I ready to put him up there in the elite status category? Not quite elite, but I would say, man, he was above average at minimum, probably a B level, with a lot of potential, because he's one of them up and coming guys. But we know that he would have been, but Shakur didn't want to fight him. Keyshawn didn't want to fight him. So he wound up fighting Abdullah for the eliminator, and Loma retired. And so that's how he wound up getting it. However, this is the thing. It was rumored that him and Andy Cruz was going to do their thing, right? But I know at least it has to be almost about a month ago, maybe. Probably about a month ago. Well, they said the man, don't quote me, go do your homework, go do your research. Well, they said that the man turned down $2 million. $2 million. And Andy Cruz, the one who they say, they be trying to say Andy Cruz couldn't bust a grape. He just a supreme boxer. But the rumor is he can't bust a grape. Now, he's working with Bozy. He's developing his power. He's getting more into that pro style. But as it seems right now, he can't bust a grape. And then the pro style, where he's 5 or 6 fights in, but he had worked his way up. And they said that this man turned down $2 million. Who's talking about legacy? Who's talking about legacy, y'all? Let me read this to y'all. Regarding this guy on the far right who got the IBF. Raymond Morataya, Andy Cruz, mandatory title fight ordered by IBF. Now, this was Friday, October the 3rd. Now, I know a month ago, is back in the Andy Cruz business. You notice how they say back in the Andy Cruz business. If he wants to avoid being stripped of his title. Anyway, Boxing Scene has confirmed that the IBF has ordered a 30-day negotiation period for a fight between the two unbeaten lightweights. Top Rank and Matchroom Boxing, the respective promoters for Morataya and Cruz, were instructed on Thursday to open talks for the mandatory title fight. Please be advised that IBF lightweight champion Raymond Morataya is due to make the mandatory defense of the title by December 5th, 2025. IBF champions Chairman George Martinez stated in a ruling obtained by Boxing Scene, the leading available contender in the division is number 1 Andy Cruz. Negotiations should commence immediately and be concluded by November the 2nd, 2025. If you are unable to come to an agreement for this bout within 30 days, IBF will call for a purse bid pursuant to Rule 10. As previously reported by Boxing Scene, Morataya, 23-0, 17 KOs, originally planned to explore a voluntary defense before committing to a showdown with Cruz, 6-0, 3 KOs at the time. The IBF indicated that California's Morataya had until February 10th, 2026, 9 months from his interim title win over Zoro Abdullayev to honor his mandatory. The timeline has since sped up as it is clear that no such fight is on the horizon for the reigning 135-pound titleist. Rumors of a targeted showdown with Floyd Schofield Jr., 19-0 with 13 KOs, proved to be false. Never mind in advanced talks, when Schofield instead signed to face Joseph Jojo Diaz on a November 8th The Zone show. Morataya's options are further limited by the fact that Top Rank is presently without a televised or streaming platform after its multi-year deal with ESPN expired earlier this summer. Matchroom has been with DAZN since its 2018 U.S. launch and has every intention to secure the right to this fight. The UK-based global promotion outfit made a previous offer for the fight earlier this summer, but was declined by Morataya's team. Morataya defeated Russian Abdullayev to win a secondary version of the IBF 135-pound title on May 10th in San Diego, California. The win came exactly 52 weeks after Vasily Lomachenko regained the full IBF title in a stoppage win over former lineal and unified champion George Kambosos Jr. Lomachenko had until October 9th to face Morataya in a title consolidation fight, but instead opted to retire from the sport. Morataya was given an immediate upgrade, but has not since made his way back to the ring. Lomachenko's retirement and Morataya's advanced title status also paved the way for Cruz to enter a final title eliminator. The 2020 Olympic gold medalist for Cuba made proper use of the opportunity, a 6-round stoppage of Hironari Mishiro on June 14th in New York City. Cruz planned to return to the ring this fall if Morataya moved forward with a voluntary defense. He and his team will instead spend the next 30 days either working on a deal or requesting an immediate purse bid, which either side can do at any point during the negotiation period. Per IBF Rule 5.d, covering mandatory title fights, both fighters are obligated to honor the above-mentioned ruling in negotiating good faith. Should Morataya, as a defending titleist, fail to move forward with the fight, he will be stripped of the title. Any effort by Cruz to go in another direction will result in his being dropped. Months. Got Jake Donovan behind that. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's covering. Nobody's really who's reaching out to cover and see what's going on with Abdullah Mason. Who's doing any coverage on Sam Noakes? We know everybody just taking this opportunity to shit on Tank, right? But who's really covering Shakur Stevenson other than him running around clout chasing somebody and hoping that the Teofimo Lopez fight gets across the finish line? Who's doing that? What real news do we have? No, so nobody's talking about that. Moving on to the road. We just talked about Teofimo Lopez. I seen him on a private plane. I seen him hitting the bag. I seen him doing some training. His name is attached to Shakur Stevenson. And supposedly the fight is close to being done. And, you know, it's nothing etched in stone as far as I'm concerned. But it's a lot of talk about it. A lot of them two getting all of the benefit of the doubt. Who's covering Richardson Hitchens? Who's making a big funk about, okay, all these legacy-driven people, all these people that's so driven by legacy or whatever, who's actually going to admit the truth in that Teofimo Lopez ducked the shit out of Richardson Hitchens? He cleaned up George Kambosos. Right? Ended it with a body shot doing that body work. Got up there, called out Teofimo Lopez, who was ringside, and then said F the Haneys out loud and said that he wanted Devin. Didn't get either one of them. Turkey turned around and shit on him and say, oh man, if this guy ain't with Eddie, I don't want to have nothing to do with him. And I always said that they trying to Mandela affect us, like we wasn't supposed to get a Teofimo Lopez and a Richardson Hitchens over there on Alcatraz. One of the weirdest ideas, but everybody was saying, oh yeah, man, that'd be neat. See, Turkey, he's so creative in what he's doing in all these matches and all that. We getting ready to get Teofimo and Richardson Hitchens on Alcatraz. Yeah, man, I think, man, that'd be cool. See, man, he think outside the box. That's what boxing need. Who's covering Richardson Hitchens? Who's covering him? It was a I'm hearing that it was something going on with Sabril Matias and they won, but the whole was it Andy Dalton? Was it Andy Dalton? Or Dalton Smith? Dalton Smith, Andy Dalton. I think that was the quarterback for the Bengals. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Supposedly, Sabril Matias and them won that. Who's talking about that? Who's coming out talking about him every day, all day, and how bad he is, and how, you know, he lost his belt, went and beat a champ who a lot of people avoided, who Devin avoided. You know, Sandor Martin fought a very valiant effort against the guy who, the one and only guy who was actually put a blemish on one Gary Antoine Russell's record. And then Sabril go over there and maul the man in a very, very close, very, very tight fight, and actually go on to become a champion again. Who's doing videos about him every day? For all these legacy-based people, who's actually talking about Sabril Matias all day, every day, or keeping you update or abreast of the news surrounding the Sabril Matias? When the last time you heard from Gary Antoine? I know he done an interview not too long ago. He did a couple months ago, but then here recently, who's running around putting out content about Gary Antoine Russell right now and what he got going on a regular basis? Who? Where? What's the name? They was quick to run with the fact when he actually was saying, "Hey, Richardson, you know, I saw him in the amateurs and I beat him in the amateurs," you know what I'm saying? But he don't ever say he want to fight me. They was quick to run with that when Richardson Hitchens was actually trying to fight Teofimo and Devin Haney. But they didn't run with that. There wasn't that legacy because all of this was a unification. This was the type of stuff that I was on. The same way I was on it when Sabril Matias was over in another slot when he was with the IBF and he was calling out Rolly, Devin, and Tio. Who's talking about that legacy talk? Who's really talking about that legacy talk? Who's really talking about it? Nobody, right? Nobody, right? What about D Block? What about the welterweight division? Who even know who the guy on the left is? Who even know that he actually had the IBF strap? Who know that? What's his name? Can you tell me that? Legacy guys? Guys who's all about legacy? Because this is the glamour division. Who is the guy on the far left? Who is he? When did he get his strap? Who's putting out content about him every day? All right, well, if you don't know the guy on the far left, Lewis Crocker, what about Rolly? He's a legitimate champ right now, right? So in the not so glamorous division of welterweight division, right? With a front runner, it looked like the most tenured. The one with the best resume would be one Mario Barrios. The most dangerous, the one with the highest ceiling, is looking like one Brian Norman. The one who's actually becoming tenured with the personality, also been in some big fights, upset the apple cart by beating one Ryan Garcia, making Ryan Garcia put his hands in his pocket and then dropping them, sitting them down on his back pockets, with Rolly. Who's doing videos about Rolly all day, every day, saying what he's going to do as far as his legacy and what he's bringing to the table? Who's actually doing that? I mean, there's rumors that him and Manny Pacquiao was doing, but who's putting out the videos? Where can I go to get the content so I can see with all these people that's talking about legacy all the time, or so legacy driven? Where is it? Who's doing it? Who's talking about it? No answers? Oh, okay. What about the Thundercats? Who's the guy on the far right? Who's the guy on the far right? Why don't nobody want to fight that guy, that bad man that's called the IBF? Why ain't nobody really want to do that? Why when it was a certain boxer, it was a certain boxer that moved up, that had the title one strap below, when it was a certain guy that was getting ready to move up, they could have, you know what I'm saying, latched on and used the IBF or the WBA. Who is that guy with the IBF? What's his name? Who's reaching out since all these legacy driven? Who's getting all of the, who's networking and actually figuring out, oh, okay, where is this guy doing? What is he saying? Where is he training? What's his plans going forward? Other than who's ducking? Like everybody and their mom done ducked the dude with the IBF strap. Bakram Murtazaliev. Everybody want to duck. Where's the content? We know Fondor's getting ready to get it on with Keith Thurman. Right? Who taught him about Xander? We know Xander and Virgil, we know they had their little exchange, and that was supposed to go down, and Xander just so happened to get the guy Chino who edged out Charles Conwell. Abas Abreu is the guy on the far right. He had a WBC. How did he get it? He fought Yo and his Taylors. Why didn't the guy who was down, like what the guy that was down there, he could have got Taylors, right? So who's really talking about legacy? Which one of these do y'all recommend? Which one of these do y'all see being the unification? If any of these guys can hold on their title for any long, because 154 has been competitive. It's just like this division. 154, this division and this division have been the most competitive divisions in boxing. But nobody's talking about nobody, like I said here. Divisional news is lacking. It's like they bring up this, oh man, legacy, blah, 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 blah. When somebody really get into the bag, when somebody really tear the roof off and really get a check, I'm talking about a check, I'm talking about a life-changing, generational wealth type check, type bag, then all of a sudden, oh man, it's, who bought legacy? And then is it legacy or is it, but like, you know what I'm saying? All this gaslighting that people be doing. That's why when people start talking about that legacy talk, I be like, man, knock it off. Knock it off. You don't even really believe that shit. Let's get down to these crash outs right here. Let's talk about these crash outs, right? Haven't y'all seen how funny it is when it come down to these crash outs? Let me see something. Let me get something here. Isn't it funny? Isn't it ironic how now it's almost like all of these Canelo fanboys, right? They crash out. And right now they on this thing where they're false flagging for Bud. I've never seen so many, it's so many Bud fans coming out the woodwork. Now I know there will be some carryover because when you the man, when you beat the man to become the man, you're gonna take some fans. However, I question whether or not a lot of these crash out Canelo fangirls and boys are truly Terrence Bud Crawford fans. Why? Because isn't it crazy how all of a sudden it's this big push for Bud to fight David Benavidez when these same Canelo fanboys they made every excuse in a book as to why Canelo Alvarez couldn't fight David Benavidez. So now they want Bud to get Canelo Alvarez's work. I find it disingenuous. I find it dishonest and tasteless. And nobody's calling them out on this. Like, why do y'all want Bud? Why do y'all want Bud to get Canelo work? Like, nah, Canelo can still have that work. Oh yeah, that's right. Because y'all already know that the man was ducked. The man, because they was trying to say he never ducked David Benavidez. So now y'all false flagging behind Bud, and it's this big push. It's this big push because y'all think y'all trying to set Bud up. And they try, like, especially this musty dude on the right. The musty dude on the right, he perhaps comes up with the stinkiest narratives, the most mustiest narratives. Like I don't know where did he go. I don't know if he be reaching down in the urinals. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he put his arm like elbow deep down at the strip club bathroom toilet. I don't know where he come up with the shit that he come up out with, but he's famous for doing it. We'll come out with some funky ass narrative. He just shitted on Demetrius Andre not too long ago, talked to him in all kind of crazy ways, and now like all this week, it's been this underlying thing to where he's been slowly but surely pushing for Bud to fight David Benavidez. And I find David Benavidez, the fight was announced that he was getting ready to fight the talented Mr. David Morrell, the one who I had called El Sicario, because Ronnie Shields is basically saying that at that point in time, at 68, one talented Mr. David Morrell since 2021 up until last year, he was fighting all the Canelo's mandatory, like the same thing that they said when Tank was actually doing the same thing when Devin had the belt, but Tank had the WBA. And he had to fight all of because when you have that other belt, you don't have to fight the mandatories. But the same way Tank had to fight all of the mandatories, that's what the talented Mr. David Morrell was doing. Taking on all of the mandatories. But then he would get shitted on and say that he wasn't fighting nobody. But he wouldn't fight David Morrell. You know who fought David Morrell? David Benavidez, the Mexican monster. So they try to say, oh no, he needed to stay in line, and he did make some mistakes early on. He lost his belt twice. One to the cocaine, one to the scales. Okay, cool. David Benavidez has done more than he needed to do to come back and bounce back from that. That's the thing of the past. He has shown that he has heart, he has dog. He has done way more than make up for that. But I noticed that these Canelo crash out dummies, crash test dummies, they only use David Benavidez when they're trying to weaponize him. They won't let him stand on his own merit and give him his credit as is the shit that he earned. For fighting Caleb Plant. For fighting and beating Boo Boo. But Boo Boo really ain't had no business even fighting him at that point. But they always weaponize David Benavidez, and now I find it so odd that all of a sudden all these guys are getting behind Terrence Bud Crawford, false flagging like they really Bud fans, to try to set him up for David Benavidez. And it's supposed to be some big card in February, but I think that's Turkey Alla Sheik, Sugar Daddy Sheik, trying to create interest and trying to create this mystique. And we don't know because they have David Benavidez and they have Devin Haney on there for something big in February. And I think that's kind of dangerous because as much as I think that I would have to ride with David Benavidez, because I'm at a point where I don't bet against David. I'm not betting against David Benavidez no more. He's earned the right. That's a bad man. But he can't afford to look past Anthony Yarde and start thinking about February. And Devin Haney damn sure can't look past B-Norm the Storm thinking about something that's going on in February. But I've noticed that these guys, these crash out dummies, they're not telling you about David Benavidez in training camp and down there in Miami. They're not covering that. They're not telling you any ins and outs. They're not giving you no good information. They're not really low because all it is to weaponize David Benavidez. And this dude, let me show y'all what this dude did. This dummy, look at what this dummy did, right? What this one on the bottom say? This one on the bottom says that if Canelo loses, I'm deleting my channel. He said, if Canelo loses, I'm deleting my channel. Well, his channel is still up. Why didn't he delete his channel? Why? Because they can say whatever they want. No accountability. They have no integrity. I find it odd how both of these videos, the one up top, he said Canelo got played for selling his soul. So in turn, he ain't even giving Terrence the credit that he deserved. And ironically, both of these videos got 7.1 thousand views each on both. Like, how ironic, exactly. And they both exactly 6 minutes and 24 seconds. 6 minutes and 24 seconds. But y'all believe these guys because those numbers look real when we know they fake. We know they fake. This dude, he's one of the biggest race baiters online. Like, so right now, what he does is he do the same thing. Him and this other crash dummy, they do the same thing. The one on the right, the narrative man, he's a little bit more finessey with his and how he race bait, but he do race bait. He just created with his title. The one on the left, he straight up race baits. He don't care. But what they do is they both following the same thing. They'll come out, they'll do a video, they'll create something to actually shit on Tank and try to undermine Tank, right? They'll come out, they'll false flag for Bud and act like they're the biggest Bud fans in the world, when really they still butthurt about what Bud did to Canelo. And now they're trying to set up Bud to fight David Benavidez, who was really Canelo's work. After all of these years, they've been sitting up here protecting Canelo. Like when I said he had a grape vineyard, I said he ain't cherry picking. It's past that. I said he has a grape vineyard, but it won't age like fine wine. And I've been started saying, man, listen, I don't even care who Canelo fight. I don't care. And I was hoping that after this that he retired. I was hoping that him and Bud both walk away. But this is what they do. They crash outs and it's disingenuous, the message that they come across with and the thing that they're actually saying right now. Why? Because they don't give a fuck about Bud. They butthurt Canelo fans. And they definitely don't care about David Benavidez. Why? Because they don't never talk about nothing about David Benavidez unless it is there to weaponize him. They shitted on when the Yard fight, just like when the David Morrell fight was announced. I know the one on the right, he definitely shitted when the Yard fight was announced. Just like he did when David Morrell. He don't give him no credit for the talented Mr. David Morrell. Hell, he don't even give David Morrell any credit. And I would say this guy actually got my Captain Obvious award, but since then, see, he's a slickster. See, he'll put some shit up and then he'll take some shit down. But he actually came out this week. He did a video. I went back to go look for it, but he did a video basically saying how they basically spoiled and protected Canelo all of this time. I'm like, duh, Captain Obvious. But in real time, people was gaslighting, saying, no, man, he's great, man. Look at all the people. Look at his resume. He's earned the right. He's earned the right. So now he finally get exposed the way he should have, the way Jamel should have did it. Bud wound up doing it. And now it's like, oh, did we baby Canelo or did we protect him and did we coddle him all this time? Duh, Captain Obvious. But he's a slicker because he'll take some shit down. Just like this, just like he didn't follow through with this man should not have a channel no more. He said, I'm deleting my channel. That shit should have been gone. But he has no integrity. None. All he do is race bait. So right now he's picking and choosing, and he's doing this thing with Teofimo Lopez and Shakur. He asking if the boxing world gonna get it wrong once again when it comes down to Tio, because Shakur's moving up to see Tio and how Tio don't get the respect he deserves and all this and all that. But this is what he do. He race baits all the time, every other video, every other day. That's all he do. So he'll false flag like he's really affiliated with Bud or he really rocking with Bud and come out and do another video that undermine Bud's achievements. And he plays that game, that gaslighting game. But he learned from his sensei. They say birds of a feather flock together. And that's exactly what they're doing. But like I said, legacy talk these days is for losers. Why? Because ain't nobody really talking about no legacy. They be gaslighting like, I do. But they say I'm a loser. Like when I start talking about the nuts and bolts, who's really doing this, who's really moving like this, who's really ducking, who's really dodging, who's really hiding, who's really flogging, who's moving the way they supposed to do, how they doing this cold, on cold, off cold bullshit and all that. When I start talking about that, getting down to the nitty gritty, really talking some legacy stuff, they say I'm losing. I'm a loser. Like, oh man, no, come on, man. Yeah. No. What's going on, Boom Boom? What's good with you? But yeah, that's really what's going on, man. These dudes are false flagging. And they think that they're trying to set Bud up. They're not genuine. They're not genuine David Benavidez fans. They're not genuine Bud fans. They are crash out Canelo fans who've been exposed, who don't know where to run to. That's why like the default is like, hey, don't do a hate video on Tank and then come up with some salacious. Oh, let's shit on Boo Boo. Oh, let's do another hate video on Tank and let's question whether or not Bud should really fight or have a chance against David Benavidez. It's like, where was that energy when Canelo was ducking and dodging David Benavidez? And why do y'all want Bud to do Canelo's work? I mean, if Bud decide he want to fight him, okay, cool. If that's what he decide he want to do, but I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. Because the last couple years, y'all justified Jaime Munguia, y'all justified Berlanga, y'all justified everybody but David Benavidez, and y'all know damn well he should have did it. And then y'all try to say that he ducked when and then y'all didn't say nothing about when Turkey basically told Bivol when he was getting ready to fight David Benavidez, oh, don't bite the hand that feeds you. You know where your bread is getting buttered at. Y'all didn't say nothing. Because now y'all want to weaponize David Benavidez against Bud. Now all of a sudden y'all these big Bud fans. Like, knock it off. Knock it off, man. It's getting old, man. Y'all gotta start calling people out, man. It shouldn't only be a few. It shouldn't only be just a handful of people that's calling people out or have the cojones to actually point these things out. Like we not really witnessing and sitting here witnessing. Like we just gonna sit around and be quiet about this. I'm not. I had to put it down on wax. But y'all need to apply pressure. This man said, look at what he said. Look at what it look. Don't take my word for it. If Canelo loses, I'm deleting my channel. His channel should be deleted. Y'all need to apply pressure. And he sold his soul. So he don't even give Bud the credit because he's saying that Canelo sold his soul. That's why he lost. Am I going to be the only one that say something? Am I going to be the only one that call out these hypocrisies? Am I going to be the only one that actually want to break down the divisions of what's really going on with all of these guys? What's really going on with all of these guys? What's really going on with all of these guys? What's really going on with all of these guys? That's just 4 divisions. We ain't even break down 168. We ain't even talk about the return of Frank Martin. We ain't even talk about the return of Jermell Charlo. We ain't talking about the return of Errol Spence. We ain't talking about like the nuts and bolts. Yeah, I knew this wasn't gonna be one that was gonna get the congregation jumping for joy. You know what I'm saying? I just thought maybe somebody was gonna be froggy and try to prove me wrong. Cause I always say, man, stop me when I'm lying. Hold my feet to the fire. But miss me with all this now. All of a sudden, everybody, oh man, this is legacy. That's not legacy. Well, where are the people that's talking about the legacy thing? Who talking about the legacy things? Who's giving you an honest assessment and breakdown about the X's and O's? Because I hear so many flawed people don't even talk about the statistics no more. Before Tank fought Lamont Roach, why is he fighting Lamont Roach and he ain't worthy and he ain't this and he ain't that and Tank don't ever fight nobody. After that is, oh, he need to rematch Lamont Roach. Now I'm hearing Tim Bradley give Shakur Stevenson the same. I'm hearing him give the advice of needing to fight Ryan Garcia, Pitbull, and all these guys. But you know who never get credit for having fought him? The shooter. He don't never get no credit, but that'd be the same advice that they're giving everybody. And this is what's slowly happening right now. Keyshawn might have counseled himself a little bit, but that's actually what's really going on, man. A lot of people jumping ship on Dev right now for Shakur, and they're going to do the same thing that these crash dummies are doing. If Teofimo fights the way he normally fights, when he fights somebody of some caliber or some status, when he actually gets up, if he fights to his potential and he does better, he will have to do better than what he did with Jermaine Ortiz, because they definitely only reason why Jermaine Ortiz didn't get that decision is because the cachet that Teo had, and Jermaine Ortiz's his cachet wasn't that high. They was not going to take that away from Teo to give it to Jermaine Ortiz, even though if you watch those fights, if you watch that fight, you can reason that Jermaine Ortiz pulled it off. Well, Shakur Stevenson actually saw that. He actually saw that, and he knows that he can duplicate some of the things that Jermaine Ortiz did. That's just like when Devin Haney saw Zarilla he arguably beat Regis. He's like, oh yeah, I can duplicate some of them things that Zarilla did. I definitely can duplicate some of those things. So the way Shakur looking at it, he's like, I'm a little bigger than T.O. That's one. You know, I'll have a little bit more meat on my bones. You know, as far as boxing skills, Shakur is definitely a more pure boxer than Teofimo. And he could frustrate Teo. If Teo goes in there like a bull in the China shop, the way he did with Kambosos, and he's sloppy with his technique, Shakur knows that. But what he's actually looking at is the fact that Jermaine Ortiz gave Teo a run for his money, and he's reasoning that he can duplicate some of the success that Jermaine Ortiz had. And he got boxing media all on his jockstrap right now to echo whatever he needs to be reverberated, especially since Bud won and he's associated with them, and then Keyshawn's out the picture, so that took away some of the, you know what I'm saying, the spotlight. So Keyshawn was getting a lot of press. He was demanding a lot of attention before he shot himself in the foot. So now Shakur could just run around blabbing off from interview to interview, and he's getting the benefit of the doubt as if this Teofimo Lopez fight was already in the bag. But let Teofimo Lopez be up for this fight the way he was for Lomachenko, the way he was for Josh Taylor. Let him be up and be feeling it, like, you know what I'm saying, have like that pressure that he needs, because You know, it's a gift and a curse. Teofimo, if he respects you and he's up for it, he can rise and be more than formidable and be sharp. But if he's not up for you and he's overlooking you and play you down like, meh, you can get over on him. We'll see the closer that fight gets as to what's going to happen. But don't let these crash dummies continue to do what they're doing, man. Y'all gotta start talking to these folks, man. Y'all gotta start being vocal out here, man. It shouldn't be a select few that talk to these things and act like, because it happens in every genre. We got people that's doing this in basketball. We got people that do videos and do this about football. We just happen to be talking about boxing. Healing Honey, Bodywork. Salute Healing Honey. I wanted to put something on your mind, man. I decided I'm gonna do things a little bit earlier today. Y'all know my normal time is 9:15. You know, and I'm back in the groove with everything that I got going on, man. But do your homework, do your research. If you don't know everybody in these, if you don't know these people by face and what they can do and how they can do it, man, brush up on that before you start talking about boxing. If you don't know all of these guys and what they can do and what belts they hold, brush up on the sport, man. If you ain't looking at these guys and you not hearing and seeing videos about these guys, the who's who, the champions and all that, knock it off with all this legacy talk. There's a lot of stuff going on, man, in boxing, man, and it don't circulate just hating on one fighter and gaslighting everybody, you know what I'm saying, about because you're not a creative. Your creative juices ain't flowing, so you just default to just hating on somebody, man. Knock it off. I wanted to put, you know, silence is consent. That's the mantra of this channel, meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for grown men and women to remain silent. So we speak to those things. We say something. We be vocal about it. We don't go along with the flow. You can't take a leap on my head and tell me it's raining, homie. Stop false flagging for people that y'all really don't want to see win. Y'all really just trying to weaponize David Benavidez. Knock it off. I wanted to put something in your rucksack so you can march on with it and give you food for thought, man. But be responsible in your boxing conversations, man, and hold people's feet to the fire. Don't let them just tell you anything and you just take their word for it and keep running. This is Fruits and Veggies, not that Reggie. This is fact-based content. Apply pressure to these clowns. Call them out. Hold their feet to the fire. Don't let them gaslight you and be a hindsight is 2020, is meaning that you wait until after everything's said and done and now you see everything all clear and crystal. Nah. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to